A 5-year-old boy sits at the dinner table. His mother just remarried. He's getting a new last name. Kors. Then his mother says something that will change his life forever. You're getting a new last name. Why don't you pick a new first name too? Most kids would panic. Most kids would say no. But this kid? He thinks for a moment and says, Michael David Kors. Karl Anderson Jr. died that day. Michael Kors was born. And 40 years later, that new name would be worth $1.4 billion. But here's the crazy part. Before he became a billionaire, before he dressed Michelle Obama and Jennifer Lopez, before Project Runway, before the empire, he filed for bankruptcy, lost everything, and had to rebuild from zero. This is the story of Michael Kors, the boy who reinvented himself at 5 years old, dropped out of fashion school, went bankrupt, and still became one of the most powerful names in fashion. So how did a kid from Long Island turn a childhood name change into a global luxury brand? Michael Kors was born Karl Anderson Jr. on August 9, 1959, in Long Island, New York. His mother, Joan Hamburger, was a former model at the House of Revlon. His father, Karl Anderson Sr., was a Swedish handyman. His parents divorced when Karl was young. His mother remarried a businessman named Bill Kors. And at 5 years old, little Karl was given a choice that most children never get. The power to rename himself. He chose Michael, his favorite name, and David as his middle name. From that moment on, Karl Anderson Jr. ceased to exist. Michael David Kors took his place. But the name change wasn't just symbolic. It sparked something in young Michael, a fascination with transformation, with style, with reinvention. At age 5, Michael redesigned his mother's wedding dress for her second marriage. Most kids play with toys. Michael was sketching gowns. Growing up in suburban Merrick, New York, Michael was obsessed with fashion. He devoured Vogue magazine every month, studied fabrics, watched his mother model. As a teenager, he started designing clothes and selling them from his parents' basement under the brand name Iron Butterfly. He wasn't just playing dress up, he was building a business. And everyone who met him knew this kid was going somewhere. In 1977, Michael enrolled at the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City. But he lasted 9 months. Not because he failed, because he was bored. I loved the city more than the school, Kors later said. Fashion school teaches theory. Michael wanted to do. So he dropped out, and in 1978, he got a job at Lothar's, a trendy French boutique on West 57th Street in Manhattan. He started as a salesperson, but within months, he was designing and merchandising his own collection for the store. And that's where fate intervened. Dawn Mello, the executive vice president of Bergdorf Goodman, walked into Lothar's one day. She saw Michael's designs, and she said 5 words that changed his life. When you have a collection, call me. 3 years later, in 1981, Michael Kors launched his first women's collection. It was sold at Bergdorf Goodman and Saks Fifth Avenue, the most prestigious department stores in America. He was 22 years old. Michael Kors's first collection was simple, elegant, timeless, classic American sportswear, clean lines, neutral colors, nothing flashy, just perfectly tailored clothes that made women look effortless. The fashion world noticed. In 1984, Michael held his first runway show. And guess who opened it? Iman, the supermodel, the legend. She walked down the runway in a sleek turtleneck and grey flannels. Understated, powerful, pure confidence. The show didn't scream, it whispered, and fashion listened. Michael became known for his trunk shows, small, intimate fashion presentations in private homes across the United States. He would travel from city to city, selling directly to wealthy clients, building relationships, creating loyalty, When he was 23, he did something audacious. He convinced Anna Wintour, then an editor at New York Magazine and later the editor-in-chief of Vogue, to view his collection. But he didn't have a fancy showroom. No Madison Avenue office. Nothing. So Anna Wintour came to his apartment, and Michael laid out his entire collection on his bed. From those humble beginnings, he built a celebrity following. Barbara Walters wore his designs. Awards followed, sales grew. By the late 1980s, Michael Kors was a rising star in American fashion. But then, 1993 hit, and everything collapsed. In 1993, Michael Kors companies filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. His licensing partner had folded. The KORS Michael Kors line, a more affordable collection, had to be shut down. Michael was devastated. He had spent over a decade building his brand, and now it was gone. Most designers would have quit, walked away, found a corporate job. But Michael Kors didn't quit. He rebuilt. By 1997, he had bounced back. He launched a new, lower-priced line, more accessible, more commercial. Then he got the call that would save his career. LVMH, the French luxury conglomerate, offered him the position of creative director at Celine. Celine was struggling. The brand needed a revival, a fresh perspective. Michael took the job, and for 6 years, from 1997 to 2003, he transformed Celine into a powerhouse. His ready-to-wear collections were critically acclaimed. His accessories were bestsellers, and during that time, Michael quietly built his own brand back up. He launched menswear in 2002, accessories, fragrances, watches. By 2003, Michael left Celine to focus entirely on his own empire. And then, in 2004, something unexpected happened that would change everything. In 2004, Michael received an offer to judge a new reality TV show, Project Runway. His first reaction? Fashion on television? Are you kidding? He almost said no, but he said yes. And the show premiered on December 1st, 2004. It became an instant hit. Michael's blunt critiques, his witty one-liners, viewers loved him. Suddenly, Michael Kors wasn't just a designer for the elite, he was a household name. Project Runway ran for years, multiple Emmy nominations, cultural phenomenon. And Michael's brand exploded. In 2011, Michael Kors Holdings went public. The IPO raised $944 million. By 2014, Forbes reported Michael Kors had become a billionaire. Net worth, $1.4 billion. In 2017, Michael Kors Holdings acquired Jimmy Choo for $1.2 billion. Then, in 2018, Versace for $2.1 billion. In 2019, the company rebranded as Capri Holdings Limited, overseeing 3 iconic brands, Michael Kors, Jimmy Choo, and Versace. Today, the Michael Kors brand is sold in over 100 countries. Worn by Michelle Obama, Jennifer Lopez, Blake Lively, Taylor Swift. And it all started with a 5-year-old boy who chose a new name. So here's what you need to understand about Michael Kors. He reinvented himself before he even understood what reinvention meant. At 5 years old, he was given the chance to choose who he wanted to be. And he chose a name that sounded powerful, confident, iconic. Karl Anderson Jr. could have been anyone. Michael Kors? That's a brand. But the name alone didn't build the empire. Michael went bankrupt in 1993, lost everything, had to start over. Most people would have given up. But Michael understood something fundamental. Failure isn't permanent, it's just data. He learned, he adapted, he came back stronger, and when Project Runway gave him a platform to reach millions, he didn't waste it. He turned reality TV fame into global brand recognition. Today, when you see those 2 letters, MK on a handbag, You're not just seeing a logo, you're seeing the story of a kid who designed his mom's wedding dress at 5, who dropped out of fashion school to chase his dream, who went bankrupt and rebuilt, who became a billionaire. Michael Kors proved something powerful. You don't have to be born with the right name. You can choose it. You don't have to accept failure. You can rebuild. And you don't need a traditional path. You just need vision, resilience, and the courage to bet on yourself. Karl Anderson Jr. is forgotten. But Michael Kors? That name is immortal. If this story inspired you, hit subscribe and the bell icon so you never miss another billion-dollar comeback story. Drop a comment. If you could rename yourself today, what would you choose?